I can't find anybody that knows anything about where she might be.
You have a very attractive female who has disappeared.
Time felt like it was standing still. I was in a panic.
Murder always was in the back of our head.
It's all not adding up to me. She would never just peace out on her children.
We don't have a scene. We don't have a body. We don't have any evidence.
I came back home. We got to a fight. A little bit later, she was gone.
We both know Michelle did not walk out of that apartment.
Michelle Warner is my daughter. From the earliest that I can remember, Michelle wanted to be an attorney.
She has an amazing soul.
She's real bubbly and outgoing and fun to be around.
She's the greatest mom ever to Haley and Caden. Haley's dad is her ex-husband. They have an amicable relationship. Caden's father was Mark. Mark and Michelle never married. When Caden was born, Mark was there, but he disappeared from 3 months to about 3 years. That he really, literally was not in Caden's life. Once Mark came back into the picture, Michelle was glad that Caden's father was around because her family is so important to her.
With Michelle Warner's case, she went missing on Saturday. She was reported on Monday from her coworkers. Her family members re-reported her on Tuesday, and we got the case on Tuesday.
So it's all not adding up to me. Michelle would always get in contact. She would never just peace out on her children.
Because that just wouldn't happen. I mean, ever.
Michelle is the oldest of my two. David is her brother. Once we heard Michelle is missing, David called people who he knew should have had some contact with Michelle. He had even called Mark, Caden's father.
Why did her job call you?
He put me down as the emergency contact.
And what did you tell them?
I told her that she didn't come home.
Every lead that I have to Michelle, and I can't find a fucking thing, anybody that knows anything about where she might be. And you're the last person I know of that's actually seen her.
Yeah, I am.
Mark and Michelle met in early 2008. I first knew of Mark in her life as this IT guy at work. The relationship grew. 3-4 months later, she was pregnant with Caden. And they had gone into more of a boyfriend-girlfriend type relationship, but it didn't work out.
Michelle had finally landed this great paralegal job in Houston. Mark had previously been living in Odessa and hadn't been in Caden's life, and then he moved to Houston. So her and Mark decided to move in together in a roommate situation.
She just wanted a little bit of help, and he was going to take more of an active role in watching Caden.
We really can't assume anything until we find out more facts on the case and do a lot more interviews. On my list was Mark and Scott, who is a boyfriend of Michelle.
Scott and Michelle were very close. Mark was jealous of him.
On Tuesday, I called, left a message for Mark. And when Mark actually called back on Wednesday, he just started telling me a lot of things.
She and I were not together romantically, physically, friends. We're not even friends. We just tolerate each other for the best of Caden. I came back home. We got to a fight. Goes back into her room, and shuts the door. The master bedroom, that's her bedroom, has a back door that goes to the parking area. And a little bit later, I go in there to confront her. She was gone. And
was this on Friday or Saturday?
This is all on Saturday.
Okay.
This is all on Saturday.
Mark, where are you now?
I came home to Odessa, Texas. I'm with my family. I call my parents, and I'm like, I need help with Kate because she has a history of leaving and not coming back. I went there and came back twice.
Well, we're going to have to speak to you in person. Are you going to be able to make it back to Houston?
I can come up this weekend or something.
Yes, please. Where do you think Michelle is at now?
She's a drug user. She's somewhere, all strung out, and when she decides to finally talk to somebody, she will.
We found that Michelle was arrested before. She has been into drugs. Sometimes when people relapse, they may be gone for several days. Maybe a drug dealer, she went to buy drugs and somebody killed her in that manner or kept her.
When she divorced her husband, she started on a downhill spiral of depression. Michelle began with prescription medication, legally prescribed, and as she lost her health insurance, she started buying illegal drugs, and she was arrested for cocaine possession.
Her drug use led to her losing custody of Haley, which that's the worst thing that could have ever happened to her.
At that point, we didn't have Caden. After Michelle completed the rehab program, her main priorities were her career and Haley. She has been clean for 8 years, so we really didn't have a reason to be overly concerned that she had drifted back into that lifestyle, and we hadn't seen any recent signs that she had.
Mark told the police that she took off to do drugs. We weren't quite sure why. They were just taking his word for it. I mean, I was upset. Here, Michelle's missing. No one's heard from her. So I decided to get the media involved to put pressure on the police.
When Michelle Warner mysteriously vanished last week, her family and friends became highly suspicious. Loved ones say her disappearance is not really like her at all.
We love her. She's a huge part of our family, and we want her back. We want to bring her home.
When we feel that, hey, it's a high-profile case, we do get homicide involved because they are a bigger department.
You have a very attractive female who has disappeared under strange circumstances. These are the types of cases that the national media will pick up.
The more time ticked by with no word at all from Michelle, she was, from all indications, a good mom. Our concern was, if she did slip, why wouldn't she now at least reach out? And that was the one thing that bothered us, and that's why murder always was in the back of our head.
That's what leads us on that Thursday, the 27th, to go to Michelle's apartment.
We were met by media, and we were met by numerous friends and some family members. They were very accusatory of Mark.
All the family and friends thought that Mark had done something to Michelle. They always kind of had an explosive relationship.
We couldn't keep our blinders on and just say Mark. We certainly had to look at other possibilities.
Knowing that Scott Russell had a relationship with her, it is important that we look at Scott Russell. Other than Mark, Scott is actually the last person that sees Michelle.
According to her family, Michelle Warner mysteriously vanished nearly a week ago. Michelle had started a new job as a paralegal and had high hopes for the future. Loved ones say she would never leave her 11-year-old daughter and her 3-year-old son.
As part of the investigation, one of the things we like to do is try to piece together that person's life.
So Michelle has a variety of relationships with people. One of those being Scott Russell, who is an on-again, off-again boyfriend. Other than Mark, Scott is actually the last person that sees Michelle.
I was able to speak to Scott. He said that the Friday before, he and Michelle had gone on a date, and then they had gone over back to the house, and he said he left like right around 9:30, 10 o'clock, and she was fine. It's still an early investigation. I'll try to verify what he said.
We had gone to the apartment,
and we really stared at a note to Michelle from Mark.
completely divorces himself of any relationship with Michelle. He's got Caden. You're not getting him back.
He does not use very nice language towards her in this note. He's not looking like he's very concerned. Where are you?
Either this guy didn't have anything to do with Michelle leaving and is missing, or he's one clever SOB. And he puts this up here to throw us off, because if he's done anything bad to her, this is not what you would think you would find. We're searching the bedroom, and Brian opens the door to the closets. And I get the strangest feeling, hair standing up on the back of my neck, heebie-jeebies, whatever you want to call it. Just a very odd sense of something that happened here. But we don't find anything that is retrievable in terms of evidence. No blood stains, nothing that would indicate anything happened other than Michelle leaving. Michelle's missing person case was all over the nation. Michelle's family are really, really castigating Mark. It is all over the media. We did not want their messaging getting to Mark in Odessa and he getting upset and saying, hey, you know what? If that's what they think, I'm not talking to the police. I make a tactical decision to contact Mark Castellano directly and confirm with him that he is returning to Houston for this interview on Sunday, and that I would like to be the one to speak with him. Now, my conversation with him is consistent with the conversations he had with David and with Danny. He wants to talk.
An early Sunday morning, we do an interview with Mark Castellano.
And I will be right back.
All right.
I'm going to, what we're essentially going to do is take a statement.
Okay.
Once somebody has established a relationship, you're going to use that in the interview room. When he called and spoke to Mark, that simple phone call established Phil's authority. It was a no-brainer. Phil was going to be the guy in the interview room.
My calling was law enforcement. Did a lot of undercover work, which was a ball. Those were the days of Miami Vice. There was also Vanilla Ice days. I really looked good. But it's a young man's game, so I left the sheriff's office and came to the Houston Police Department. I have spent the last almost 23 years of my career in homicide. I don't start an investigation seeking to determine guilt or innocence, because that's not my job. My job is to seek the truth.
The box is where it all happens. We have the gray foam to absorb the sound. There's a table in the corner of the room, and then a chair with 4 solid legs about 18 inches away from the end of that table. If we allowed him to be at that table, he can use that table as a security blanket.
You're not under arrest.
Right.
You're not in custody. You're free to leave. So just want to make sure we're clear on that. Again, you want to build them up. You want to reduce their anxiety. And then we begin to further our relationship. Again, I appreciate you coming in. And,
yes, sir.
And because it's, the whole point of all of this is to find Michelle.
Right. Yes, sir. Hopefully.
Okay. Mark slides his chair and moves it towards the end of the table.
That indicates to me that he's making himself comfortable. Kind of shows he's relaxed about all this. First thing I do is instruct him to move his chair back where I want it. You'll just keep your chair turned.
Okay.
Like we had it there.
Okay.
Okay. And there's a couple of reasons for that. Number one, I want him to know you're in my house and I'm in control of this interview. And the second thing is, I wanted to gauge his response to my request. He's almost apologetic for having moved the chair. I can imagine
that you are probably getting tired of telling this story over and over and over again. But I would kind of like to start when you first met Michelle, because I know there's a lot of history there.
Right.
And then we'll kind of walk.
We don't have a scene. We don't have a body. We don't have any evidence. We've got nothing. I'm going to get to the truth in this conversation.
What happened to this beautiful young woman, mother of two? It's a breaking news story.
When Michelle was missing, I spent a bunch of that time looking at pictures and saying, "Where are you, Michelle?" Time felt like it was standing still. I was in a panic.
Search crews plan on canvassing the complex and passing out flyers in the area. The goal to locate the mother.
Mark's done something to her. I know he has. I just had a feeling like, I just knew it.
And if you know anything out there, please immediately contact law enforcement.
When we get in any of these investigations, it is as important to eliminate a suspect as it is to find the right person. Knowing that Scott Russell had a relationship with her, it is important that we look at Scott Russell. Now, Danny did most of the heavy lifting on the investigation into Scott Russell and his background.
I felt that he was honest. He loved her and really wanted to know where Michelle was.
We don't see anything really that is going to lead us to keep Scott on the board as a suspect.
Are you still in love with her and you just don't like her? Or how is that kind of manifesting?
I tolerate her. I don't love her. I'm not in love with her. I mean, I don't want anything to happen. I wish Michelle would pop up right now.
Yeah,
hey, I need here.
Okay.
He's giving me the Mark Castellano version of how horrible Michelle was.
She kind of been on me about the amount of money I was making. This last month, while she told me that me and my family were the sack of crap, the more she's not around, the less she calls me, the happier I am.
Okay. I let him talk for 2 hours, over 2 hours. Mark's got the story down. He's got the established set of facts that he's going to try to convince everyone this is what happened, which is indicating to me he's done something to Michelle.
When she gets mad, she's violent. She'll hit you. She thinks she has the right to. The way she'll sit there and tell you the way she's raised, and, man has to take up crap. She's a pretty girl, and she gets everything she wants. She has that princess attitude.
Wow. All roads are now leading to Mark. Without Mark saying, I did it, and that's where I took her, we've got nothing. It is a confession case.
Is she using any kind of drugs at that time that you're aware of? Has she introduced that into the relationship yet?
Adderall.
Which is treating her for what?
ADHD.
Okay.
And so hydrocodone, 10/325.
Mm-hmm.
And she, getting to know me, she said, well, you were in a car accident. You could go get some for me. It gets pretty bad for a great while. The pill demand work. I'm starting to notice that I'm changing. She's having me do a lot of things. Hey, we have an extra computer. Take one from the company. I need one for my brother. Or hey, I need you to get me something like this.
So she's basically asking you to steal now.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Then of course I do it.
Okay.
I did it.
Well, you're invested in this relationship, right?
She pretty much at this point owns me.
What Mark Castellano did with Phil is paint himself as the victim.
He's blaming Michelle for his bad acting to make himself look better.
Let's get to last Saturday, the 22nd.
Okay. As soon as I open the door, it's like a battle zone. And the first thing she says is, he gets into the sugar and dumps it everywhere. You left it somewhere, blah, blah, blah. And just goes on and on. I said something about, you take too many pills, you can't watch Caden or something. I said, and she's like, well, what are, you sorry, pussy? And she's like, and she just walked under, she's like, by the way, you better clean it up right. And at that time, she walked up to me and just hit me like that.
Now, are you standing? Where are you? What are you doing?
I'm like this. There's the desk right here. I'm on like this, picking up stuff.
Are you in the living room?
I'm in the living room, but there's those two spots on that carpet.
Yeah, with the computer desk.
By the computer desk. There's that hallway. And right there by the leg, I'm over there reaching, picking up stuff, and by that time I turn, I see her come up, and then when she comes up close to me and I see her arm swing, I put my head like that, she hits me like that.
Up underneath you?
Yeah, like that. It wasn't hard or anything. I'm used to it at this point.
Sure. And what's your
walks out and slams the door to her room. And about 10, 15 minutes later, I open the door to say, well, you know what? And she's gone. Well,
where's Caden when all this?
He's in his room hiding.
So you think that Michelle's been screaming at him, and that's why he goes in and reacts the way he does?
Because at one time I got her.
Did she curse at him?
Yes. She sat there and got in his face one time, and she's on here like this. I'll get on my knees.
Go ahead.
And he's sitting there and shaking his little hand, and she's sitting there grabbing him, and don't you ever, and you're going to turn out to be a sorry piece of crap like your daddy, you sorry mother, little. And at that point, I came over to her and pushed her like that. She didn't. She caught herself, and I said, get up. Don't do that anymore.
Whether those things actually occurred, in his mind, they did. I have to play off of that to make him understand that I recognize that. You know, yeah. My heart goes out to you, man, because what you have put up with for 3 years of your little boy's life, I very much appreciate and understand your feelings about your son.
Right.
I have a son. He's 27 years old now. I was about your age when he was about 3.
Wow.
So I get it. The interviews that we do, we try to find something that we have in common so that we can establish that relationship further. We're both fathers. This is about Caden. This is about Caden.
Mm-hmm.
So, whatever did happen in the apartment between you and Michelle, that's resulted in her now disappearing. We'll use that word for lack of a better term.
Right.
It's my impression that what that was about, what that argument was about, what that confrontation was about last weekend, it wasn't about you wanting to hurt Michelle. It was about your love for Caden. And it was about your burden.
Right, yeah.
About protecting Caden.
Right, because he wasn't being taken care of.
Exactly.
Detective Waters, he masterfully uses the good choice, bad choice technique when he says, Mark, this isn't about hurting Michelle, the bad choice. This is about your love for Caden, the good choice.
Whatever happened between you and Michelle in the course of her cursing at you, slapping you in the face, hitting you while you're on your knees on the ground, picking up stuff that she has directed you to do, that was just the straw that broke the camel's back. And now Mark is in protective mode for Caden. This is not happening anymore. Michelle is not going to harm my son anymore, either emotionally or physically or verbally or in any way, shape, or form, and I am going to have to resolve the problem now. And that's exactly what you did. I was able to give him a perspective that what he did was right, and that gives him justification for what he did. This is the opportunity to talk about all those things, because you've told me. You've already told me. You've laid the groundwork for what happened in that apartment. And I'm on board with you. This isn't about trying to make Mark look like a bad guy. I'm telling you, I could not. I'm listening to your story, man, and I almost want to cry for you. I just can't imagine the stress and the pressure put on you because of the love you have for Caden when you watch this woman continually berate him and treat him so terribly, because she's doing the same thing to you that she's doing to a 3-year, and you're an adult. I give him that little bit of empathy, and he is agreeing with me. He is soaking this stuff in. So as we continue to talk along those lines and we share that part of the relationship, it's very easy to transition into what happened to Michelle and what's the truth.
So I need you to explain to me. I need you to explain to me what happened. We both know. We both know. Michelle did not walk out of that apartment. She did not walk out of that apartment. We both know it. We both know the circumstances under which whatever did happen, happened. I'm not wanting you to explain to me that you wanted to hurt Michelle. I want you to explain to me what you felt like you had to do to protect Caden. So I want you to be honest with me and tell me what happened.
When he took the glasses off, I'm just thinking to myself, I cannot wait to hear what he's about to say.
She got up, and I got up, and she's getting dressed, and she's finishing up, and she's still yelling, and Caden's hiding. I grabbed her and I broke her neck. She told me I was a sorry fucking pussy and that she was gonna control me the rest of my life. And I grabbed her by her neck and and just threw her on the bed. And
so she's facing you?
Yeah, and I heard it pop, and then her tongue fucked up, it popped out, and that was it.
Okay.
I mean, I sit there and held it, and the time I realized what I did, she was dead.
When I've had a suspect who's just confessed to me about the most horrific act a human can commit on another, it tells me that I have fulfilled the calling that I believed I was meant for.
My son David received a call. I just remember seeing David's face go ashen white, and I remember him saying thank you with a really weak, cracking voice, and he got off the phone as quickly as he could, and he started crying, and I knew then. And I didn't know if I felt worse knowing that she was gone or how bad David felt, because this is my other child that's still alive, because his best friend is gone.
I got that call that he confessed. I was in the car and I literally had to stop driving. I just kind of broke down and immediately went to the thought of her babies and how he could do something so horrible to the mother of his child and then leave his son parentless.
I don't have anything else. I didn't have anything else to do.
Look at me, my friend. Look at me.
I'm sorry. Give me the death penalty, that's fine.
Look,
I deserve it.
Mark, look, I'm proud of you.
My life is over with anyway.
Your life's not over with, Mark. Mark.
I'm saying to him, Mark, your life's not over. Well, yeah, it pretty much is, but I can't say that. I have to reassure him. I want to build him up and make him feel as though that what he's done is the right thing. Because now, I want to get the full confession from him.
It takes a real man to take responsibility of what he's done. And there's a big difference between accountability and responsibility. Okay? You're going to be held accountable. The system is going to hold you accountable. But only you can take responsibility. You've done that, and I'm proud of you. You understand?
Yes, sir.
Okay. There's no need for me to do any more Jedi mind trick interview stuff on him. This is all out in the open now. So now we just need to get down to brass tacks. Here's what we need to accomplish now. I want to know what happened.
Can you kind of draw me the apartment and then just kind of show me in the room where she was?
Like, here's the bed. Here's a closet. And here's that door going to outside.
Okay.
I walked in, and that's when I grabbed her, and then I threw her on the bed right there.
Okay.
And then after that, I covered her up, and before he left, I threw her in the closet.
He put Michelle in that closet. It took me back to that moment in that apartment when Brian opened that closet door. Michelle came out of that closet, delivered the message to me.
Here's what we need to do, Mark. I brought Brian in, and I know this is painful, but I wanted you to demonstrate for Brian what happened. That'd be all right?
It's through the demonstrations that they own it, that they own their actions, and you see the real Mark come out.
I push her and then grab her and then fall down on the fall.
I know you're not going to do it because I got my brother Phil here to help me out. All right?
And then I sit there.
And then what did she do?
Well, when she fell down, I heard that, and then her tongue stuck out, and I just
knew that wasn't good.
Knew that wasn't good.
Strangulation, most likely the most personal way to murder someone. You are right up there in their face. You are so angry. You are so consumed. Your only goal is to literally choke the life out of this person.
I'm going to go check on the plane.
Okay.
It is not what you see on television in terms of someone just confesses and then boom, they're off to jail. That is just not the way it works, not in real life. We'd already had this discussion with the district attorney's office. If he confesses, he's going to have to corroborate that confession by giving us the body. This entire time, he can get up and walk out of that room because he ain't under arrest. And he's not going to be under arrest until we recover Michelle.
Hey, Mom. Well, I confessed. I did it.
Mark requested to call his father. This is non-custodial still. He has not been charged with anything.
I confessed I killed her.
And the hope was that he would give more detail to lead us to Michelle.
I want to apologize for lying to you. I did kill her. It happened so quick. It happened so quick, Dad. I didn't know I was going to break her neck.
Then Mark goes on his I Killed Michelle tour. He starts calling everyone that he knows.
I just confessed to killing Michelle, and I wanted you to know that she's dead. I'm sorry for a lot of things that I'm fixing to tell you, but I did so quick. I broke her neck. Oh, just one of those big boxes that we used to move in. She actually fit. You know, she's gained a lot of weight.
Yeah, I killed her. She'd gained some weight. She's a little heavy. It was incredible.
It was a moment of rage. I couldn't take it anymore.
It was astounding to watch him stuff his face with this meatball sub and talk on the phone, talking about, I killed Michelle. Big old meatball in the mouth.
I always shouted out loud that I already killed that stupid bitch. I used to say it all the time, but when I came home, what did I do? I did everything she wanted me to do.
He's a narcissist. This is all about him. This wasn't necessarily about protecting Caden from Michelle. This was about ridding a problem for Mark.
We were now dealing with murder, and we did not want to present what Mark had said until we had evidence, the evidence of the body.
What time did you decide to start looking for a place to put her? You left with her Saturday night, right?
No, Sunday morning. I didn't take her the first time.
Okay, that makes sense. So she's in the closet. That's why you came back.
There were surveillance cameras on an office building directly across from Mark and Michelle's apartment. September 24th, which is going to be Sunday night, Monday morning, we see Mark Castellano moving stuff out of the apartment.
I put a plastic bag over her face because I could see her looking at her eyes. find that tub that we were moving stuff in out of one of the closets, put her in there,
and you were able to carry it, or
oh hell no! She just slid down the stairs. I couldn't pick. I had a hard time putting her in the car.
Now we see him dragging what appears to be a large container of some kind down the steps of the apartment. So we were able to confirm his story.
The second time you go to Odessa is when she's in the car. All right. How long was she in the car?
For about a day, I guess.
So do you actually go to your parents' house with her in the back seat?
Mark killed Michelle, drove her 7 hours, let her rot in a car while sitting in his parents' driveway, and this is his son's mother.
This entire time, he's not under arrest. In order to even charge Mark Castellano, we're going to have the body that goes with the confession.
Draw to the best of your ability where you, and then I'll try to pull it up on Google Maps, okay?
520.
We know that he took the body of Michelle to Odessa. We asked Mark to draw a map. 7 to 9 miles down Midkiff, Midkiff. Okay. This map was very detailed. We were able to take our cell phone, take a picture of it, and send it to the FBI evidence team in the Midland and Odessa police departments and sheriff's office. And they started the search for Michelle out in the oil fields.
We searched and we walked, and we weren't successful. So I called in Mounted Patrol, which is who we have that come out on their horses, and then I called the DPS helicopter to come out and see if they could see anything from the sky. We knew that if we didn't find the body, it was going to make their case extremely hard. It's very rare you get a conviction in court without somebody finding the body. I was really hoping we'd find it fast, but we didn't.
I worried a lot that Michelle's body would not ever be found. It matters to me. It matters to me to know.
It was around 6:35 p.m. We'd been out there searching for approximately 4 hours. I walked out into the field and I decided I'm going to give it one last shot. So I walked along the wind, so it was blowing off to my left. And at one point I caught a scent. And it's a scent that you just can't forget. It's a decomposed body of some type. And I walked that line, and I'm telling you, I walked right up to the body. It had been partially buried. There was just a little bit of dirt on top. It was not a good sight. He dumped her body like she was a piece of trash.
I remember the FBI agent saying, "We found her."
And it's at that point that Detective Waters put Mark Castellano under arrest for the murder of Michelle Warner.
So the trial, Mark's defense is sudden passion, it was an accident.
As a result of the evidence recovered, but more importantly, the confession of Mark Castellano to Detective Waters, Mark was convicted of murder.
And the prosecution was asking for life.
And he received what I thought was a very light sentence of 27 years.
I do not know what was in the jury's mind when they came back with that sentence.
Everyone just got angry, and it was just insulting.
In about another decade, he'll come up for his first parole hearing. Caden is still going to be a young man, because Caden is 8 now. Haley's dad has custody of Haley, and my ex-husband and his wife are doing a great job with Caden.
27 years. for taking away somebody from everybody. Caden's not even gonna know who his mama is.
It was disturbing to me when the judge announced the sentence and Mark Castellano looked at the jury and mouthed the words, "Thank you."
He definitely didn't get what he deserved. He took away a good, honest, fun-loving person. She was an incredible mother. She loved her family. She loved her friends. She just loved life.
She had beauty, intelligence, personality, and talent. She was one of those people that you just wanted to be around. The biggest thing that I miss about Michelle is that bright smile.
What is the emergency?
I've been shot.
How were you shot, sir?
Well, I don't know. The gun just went off.
Shane Hill said that he had accidentally shot himself.
He lived his life for his children and for his wife.
Is this a tragic case where somebody just accidentally shot themselves, or is this something more nefarious where we need to start asking some questions?
Shane's wife had had an affair.
And I just wish he wouldn't come home.
A confession in a case like this ultimately is huge. Through time and experience, you know that you have to push harder.
I didn't shoot him, Kenny.
Like a baseball bat to the face, it hit me. Somebody's not telling the truth.
What is the emergency?
I've been just shot. I shot myself. I don't know. The gun just went off.
You've been shot. What's your location? Your location?
I'm South Ogden, on E57, westbound, 2.5 miles on a sheep farm. I was going after a dog and my gun went off, and I can't move. Please hurry, please, please, please.
What kind of gun did you have? What kind of gun did you shoot yourself with?
A 1911 45. I got a 45. It's a 45 bullet. I don't know where it is. It ricocheted off the ground.
It's going to be a self-inflicted accident.
My back hurts really, really bad. Please hurry. I can't move my legs at all. Please,
okay, stay on it. The first 911 call was dropped. So when he called back again, that signal got picked up by our bordering county tower. So I went to their 911, not ours.
911 emergency.
Yeah, I shot myself. My phone just went dead. Please get the guy back on the phone.
He was assuming he was talking to us again, which he wasn't.
Are you in Greene County, sir?
I don't know.
Sir? Sir? Stay with me, sir. Stay with me. Boone County, Greene County, point to point, 1033, Boone County.
I heard the call come over the radio on May 28th. The victim, Shane Hill, said that he had accidentally shot himself. It took me 11 minutes to get there, which is a long time. I got out of my car and I looked over the gate and I could see a body and a gun. And then I grabbed my medical kit and I climbed the gate and ran down. Ogden First Responders, which is a volunteer medical unit, showed up shortly thereafter. They tried initiating advanced life support. Then another man, John, showed up. He's a friend of Shane Hill. Shane called John and said that he had accidentally shot himself, and John drove over. He had called Shane's wife, Jessica, and mother, Patty Hill.
Slow down, they're working on him. Slow down. I understand, but you need to slow down, man.
I seen Shane laying on the ground next to the tractor, laying on his back, and the paramedics were working on him.
Oh, God, no! Why are you screaming so bad? Oh, God,
I know it's tough, but I need you to step back here.
Oh, my God.
They finally hollered at us and told us if we wanted to see him, we needed to go do it then because they called the doctor, and the doctor said they was going to have to let him go. So they did.
Are you sure you want? I understand. You want to go over there? You want to wait till we get him brought up? Hang on, just let me.
Jessica, Shane's wife, was almost hyperventilating. She was just so upset. She wanted to see Shane, and she ran her hands over his head and was mentioning how she didn't know what she was going to tell the children.
Shane was very close with his kids. He lived his life for his children and for his wife. And he did a lot with them. He did a lot of fishing. He took them on horseback rides all the time. They went camping a lot. Jane always loved to camp. Shane was a wonderful guy, and he did have a very big heart.
Shane was very soft-spoken, kind, do anything for anyone. Me and Shane knew each other from the time we was 15 years old. We'd go out and fishing all the time. We were best friends.
The victim's name was Michael Shane Hill. I had known Shane Hill. I knew his mother. I knew his father. It's not uncommon, when you live in a county this size, just about anywhere you went, everybody knew who you were. When I first got there were a lot of people there, friends of the family, family members. There were still paramedics. And I asked to move everybody out of that area because until I know it's not a crime scene, it's a crime scene. I didn't want any evidence leaving or any evidence coming in that wasn't already there. We should be able to find a shell somewhere because it's an automatic. Is this where he was sitting? He's right-handed. That's his holster. That's what makes me wonder why on that other side. That's strange.
It came in as an accidental shooting. But it sounded strange, and it looked even stranger. There was a large wound in the upper part of his left shoulder. I assume that was an exit wound. And there was a bullet wound in his lower back.
Shane Hill called 911 and said that he'd accidentally shot himself. He thought he'd been hit with a ricochet round. How it could have done the acrobatics to hit him in the back was beyond me. I thought that this may be more than an accidental shooting. I called the Department of Criminal Investigation for the state of Iowa.
They have a lot more expertise, so if it's unexplained deaths, we call DCI.
Special Agent Terry Kalman arrived at the scene.
So the reason for Shane or anybody that is working at a sheep farm in rural Iowa to carry a handgun or any gun with them is to protect the herd. In these areas, you're gonna see coyotes or feral dogs show up. In that first 911 call, I believe he does say that he was taking a shot at a dog. There was, in fact, a fresh shell casing there from his gun that was about 50 yards away from where he was found. That would fall in place to what he was saying, that he'd actually pulled it from his holster and fired it. The question obviously came up is, how do you do that? How do you accidentally shoot yourself in the back with a handgun? Could it have ricocheted? The bullet off another thing? Yeah, there are plenty of things out of that farm field that are made of metal that would, perfectly ricochet a bullet back into somebody. Is this a tragic case where somebody just accidentally shot themselves, or is this something more nefarious where we need to start asking some questions? During the course of the autopsy, Dr. Klein, the medical examiner, looked at that bullet wound in the back, thought it was enough to cause the fatal injuries.
His autopsy showed us the bullet seemed to travel into his insides quite a way and had fragmented a lot. Shane Hill had been carrying a Springfield .45 caliber semi-automatic handgun. It was Dr. Klein's experience that 45 caliber rounds did not fragment like that.
The shoulder wound obviously gave us the most trouble. Dr. Klein's initial thought was, this kind of looks like shrapnel. But there's also talk of, could that wound come from him just wrestling around on the ground because of his injury?
This autopsy has not been conclusive. We can't say it's a homicide. We can't say it's an accident. We need to dig into this further.
We had gotten the second 911 call in. So after the autopsy, I listened to that multiple times.
Are you in Greene County, sir?
I don't know.
About the 9th or 10th time that I'm listening to this call,
Sir?
I don't know.
like a baseball bat to the face, it hit me that this is another gunshot. Shane had called 911 and said that he had accidentally shot himself with his own gun. But we're looking at injuries that don't really even match up to that. And now we have a second gunshot. I believe he's in shock. He's in obviously a lot of pain. So he doesn't know what happened. And he's logically in his mind trying to explain to a 911 operator what happened to him. But he believes he is the only one at this rural farm. And the only explanation he can come up with is, I think I shot myself. But he was being shot at 2 times. It's no longer an accidental case. And I heard that gunshot for the first time, or identified it. It was like a pit in the bottom of your stomach kind of thing. Like, we definitely have a murder case here. Shane Hill was shot and killed.
My husband, Jim, and I and Jessica went in for questioning. Of course, they questioned each one of us separately. We never believed Shane had been murdered until they told us that. And of course, Jim and I broke down. It was horrible.
I'd asked James and Patty if there was anybody they suspected that might have any part in Shane's death. And they did bring up the fact that Jessica had had an affair with a young man by the name of Danny Blair.
The same question was asked to all the family members, and Jessica mentioned that there had been an affair with Dan Blair 3 years prior to this incident taking place, but that was all water under the bridge, and she hadn't even seen Dan Blair for a number of years.
There has been an extramarital affair that could have rekindled. It could still be going on. Yeah, it needed to be investigated.
Shane and Danny did everything together. They claimed each other as brothers until Shane caught Jessica and Danny in bed together. Jessica and Danny ended up moving in together, and after 4 months, she finally begged Shane to take her back. And after that, Shane and Danny didn't speak for a very long time, probably a year. And then one day they decided it was okay to go hunting together again. I think Shane wanted his buddy back. They've been friends for years before Jesse was ever in the picture. So Danny didn't kill him. Danny couldn't have done it.
I went to the home of Daniel Blair here in Boone, Iowa. I asked Daniel if he would be able to accompany me to the sheriff's office. And he came in voluntarily of his own free will. You understand that if any time you want to stop answering questions or walk out of here, you're free to do so?
Yep.
When did you find out Shane Hill?
1 o'clock.
Who told you that?
My mom called me.
You ever had any reason to dislike Shane Hill?
No, not really.
You ever gotten any physical altercations with him?
3 years ago, when he got me with his wife.
Okay, tell me about that.
Me and his wife, we were kissing, and he saw us, and he...
Was there a little more to kissing? Had you had sexual intercourse with her?
Not that day, no. But
had you previous to that?
Yeah.
Okay. You guys think about getting back together?
No.
Has she discussed the future of your relationship at all?
No.
Dan denied any ongoing relationship with Jessica Hill. Did you have anything to do with the death of Shane Hill?
No.
You know, a lot of times people that are coming in to talk to you, if they've got something to hide, they're rather nervous. They won't talk to you. Danny didn't put up any of those barriers. For a crime to be committed, you need 2 things in harmony. You need a motive and an opportunity. I'm not accusing you of anything, but I need the truth and not any lies or any fabrications. We needed to find out where he was at on that day, kind of lock him into a statement. You know, if he's got nothing to hide, he's got nothing to worry about. What did you do on Monday?
I slept. I was home pretty much by myself. Aaron was there early morning.
Your roommate, what's his name again?
Aaron Moss. Noon, 12:15, he came back. We went up to Wilson to shoot a couple games of pool.
Put himself at different locations, gave me the names of several different people that could vouch for him. I've locked him into a time and place where he said he's been. Well, I got nothing else to ask you. I just hope that you've been truthful.
I have been.
No red flags popped up. He didn't seem to be, culpable for the murder. I didn't think it was real possible that he had been involved. All right, we're going to wrap this up, and I'm going to give you a ride back home.
Okay.
Detective Kendall called me and gave me Dan Blair's explanation as to where he was and how he wasn't involved in anything to do with Shane's death. We just kind of let that story rest with us for a while, and we'd follow back up with it if needed.
Boone County Communications.
Yes, is Kenneth Kendall in, please? I need to speak to him as soon as possible.
This is Sergeant Kendall. Can I help you?
Yes, Mr. Kendall, this is Patricia Hill.
Yes.
Hill's mother?
Yes.
You know, I just got on the internet on my son's computer.
Yes.
And I'm very concerned because you remember me telling you about this Danny Blair?
Yes.
That was with his wife?
Yep.
There is emails on there from him to my daughter-in-law telling her how much he loved her, he missed her, giving her hugs and kisses. I am really concerned with this.
How recently was
it? It was this morning. The date is this morning.
On May 31st, 2007, a little after 2:30 p.m., I received a call from Patty Hill telling me that she had been looking on Shane's laptop computer. She had found some text messages between Jessica Hill and Dan Blair. How recently was
it? It was this morning. The date is this morning. Yeah, when I saw the laptop and read what was on it from Danny and Jessica, I got angry, got very, very angry. But at the same time, I can't see them, either one, wanting Shane dead.
Yeah, bring that in here and I will get a hold of Agent Kalman.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
These messages were in direct conflict with the information that we had already gotten in the previous interviews of Dan and Jessica about their relationship.
You guys think about getting back together?
No.
Has she discussed the future of your relationship at all?
No.
Jessica and Dan had told us this affair was long done.
Somebody's not telling the truth. We had two experienced agents in Brett Braffart and Matt Sauer that had known some of the developing facts of this case. Both are skilled investigators and good interviewers.
You want to sit right there?
Jessica Hill was not necessarily a suspect in the investigation, but with her providing us information that was not necessarily accurate, we have to start digging into it. We want Jessica to help us get to the truth.
I know that they talked to you the other day about your relationship with Dan Blair.
Yeah.
Okay. Why don't we kind of go over that again?
My husband and I split up. Basically, I left him for his best friend. And
what year was that?
It's been about 2.5 years, so 05. And then Shane and I got back together. Dan and I did talk periodically after that for the 2 years. I really didn't go over and see him. He always knew that I chose Shane over him.
I have reason to believe that the relationship was a little more than what you're talking about here.
I think she saw the fact that we knew about the relationship, so she might as well talk about it.
About 4 months ago, I had contacted him again. We did get together once.
When was that?
2, maybe 3 months ago. I'm not exactly sure.
How often have you been talking to him, say, in the last 6 months?
Maybe once a week. I did bitch to him a lot when Shane and I were having problems.
Okay. What would you complain about? Or?
Oh, him being an ass, not being grateful, and a lot of verbal abuse that nobody ever saw.
She was portraying herself as the victim. We didn't know what kind of relationship they had. We just accepted that as her side of the story.
Why do you think somebody would say that you and Dan may have conspired to do this?
I have no idea. It's something that you always say when you're mad at someone. God, it'd be just so much easier. You know?
Have you ever said something like
I
that?
have said things like that.
What exactly have you said?
Sometimes I just wish he wouldn't come home.
What conversations have you had with Dan about wishing Shane would not come home?
It's one of those things that you don't really mean, but you say.
She was just finally getting over this hump and saying, yeah, we had some pretty serious conversations. She had a desire for him to disappear, but she really made light of it. She just kind of made it seem like it was just something that was benign.
I said something like, it'd be just so much easier if he just never came home. And I think he said, you better be careful what you wish for. I said, why do you say that? He said, you gotta be careful what you wish for.
Once we put minimal pressure on her, she was willing to kind of lead us in the direction of Dan without implicating herself.
How many times do you think you've had the specific conversation with him about wishing Shane would not come home?
Multiple.
The number of times that she talked about wishing her husband were no longer around made us comfortable that she was truly part of the plan to eliminate her husband. That was a big step forward in the interview.
I think we should take a break real quick, and then I'd like to talk to you a little bit more. Okay.
Through time and experience, you know that you have to push harder. So I put the chair with the wheels in a position where I could wheel up close to her and went into more interrogation mode than interview mode.
You talked over and over and over about what you wanted to happen. Okay. And that's what happened.
I'll talk softer just so they have to pay attention and they have to listen. It's a technique to show that you're serious about this, that this is not going away.
You know that the conversations that you've had with Dan were to put this in place.
But it was just me venting that.
Jesse, listen to me, okay? You know that that's not the complete truth, okay?
She continues to try to minimize her knowledge to make me believe she had a minimal part in it. I think she realizes in that moment that we know it wasn't just a coincidence. We think they conspired to kill her husband.
This is something that you've been wishing for. Someday. And Monday was the day. You set the motions into play.
I did. I told him he left, and I told him
and you knew that
he was driving the car.
The morning that Shane was killed, Jessica sent a message to Dan that her husband had just left the house, and this is the vehicle that he's driving.
I do not know who pulled the trigger. I do not know what kind of gun it was.
But you do know that Dan was there.
Yes.
She felt she was helping the investigation and pushing any suspicion away from her towards Dan Blair.
She was cooperative. It was the end of the interview. She was going to go home.
We didn't feel that she was going to take off. We wanted to get some corroborating information from Dan and before she was arrested.
I don't think Shane ever suspected anything. I think he trusted Danny and Jesse wholeheartedly. He lived and loved and died for her.
Danny's been interviewed once. We know what story Danny's presented to us. Danny's locked into this story. We now know that there's evidence contrary to that. It's Danny's turn to explain this to us.
This is not something that I think that you saw yourself involved in. Okay? But I think that you allowed your emotions, your love for Jessica. Okay? You love Jessica, don't you?
I've always loved her.
Okay.
There's a lot of pressure going in, especially when you know that there's not a lot of physical evidence that's at this point tying any of the suspects to the case. A confession in a case like this ultimately is huge for the jury to convict them.
I couldn't shoot Shane.
Okay.
Because even though we had our problems, I still love him like a brother.
Okay. Who did you have shoot Shane then?
I didn't have no one.
Who was with you at the farm that morning?
I wasn't at the farm.
Daniel, listen to me. Okay. Those excuses are out. Okay? There's no question where you were. You've talked about this before. You discussed it with Jessica. There is all sorts of information that you guys discussed back and forth. And a lot of it is on the computer. A lot of it's on the phone.
We start to tell him what the agents have found out from talking with Jessica about the laptop. I said, you're the one that's got the answers, Dan. You need to talk to us. So let's start at the beginning. Dan, when was this set up? When did the planning start?
There was no planning.
Dan, this thing's not going to go away.
You understand that?
Yeah.
Let's start at the top, Dan. When did this go from a thought to a plan?
Like I said, there really was no planning. I mean, a couple weeks ago, we decided in the gun.
Okay, who's we?
Me and Aaron.
We knew very little about Dan Blair's roommate when this all started to unfold that evening, but as more information came in, we got to know him as Aaron Moss, and Aaron was described as just his loyal friend that would go with Dan wherever he wanted to go.
This situation that you're in, okay, it's like a weight weighing down on your shoulders that is not going to go away.
He's going to live with this for the rest of his life. He needs to deal with it. The first thing he needs to do is admit it. And that's the kind of the psychology I took with Danny. What you've done is done. It's time now for you to be a biggie boy and tell us exactly what happened. I'm not going to think less of you, Dan. In fact, I'd probably think more of you. Because you know what? You were a big boy and you stood up and you told me what you did. Now, Dan, tell me what happened down at the farm.
I was driving a car.
What car?
Aaron's.
Okay.
And Aaron is the one that pulled the trigger.
He would indicate to us that his roommate, Aaron Moss, was there, and Aaron had shot Shane in the back. But I didn't believe him. I think it's pretty damn sad, Dan, when you can take somebody's life and not stand up and be accountable for it.
I didn't shoot him, Kenny.
Who did?
Aaron did.
So now why would Aaron have any reason to shoot and kill Michael Shane Hill? Because A, you told him to, or B, he didn't do it.
Aaron goes, don't worry about it, brother, I got ya.
That's a big gotcha.
Yeah.
Right? That's a huge gotcha.
Yeah, that's got your back good.
I don't think I have any friends. They got my back that good.
No.
I have a lot of good friends.
Dan said he had talked Aaron into helping him. Talk about a loyal friend.
Did Jessica say to you that she didn't want him to come home? In a text message? And did you answer back, don't worry, he won't? I can't hear a head nod.
Yeah.
Dan slowly started to wilt. He didn't know what to say. He was like, oh crap, these guys have figured this out. You were both at the farm? Now wait a minute, let's not minimize. Were you both at the farm?
I dropped him off.
Where'd you drop him off at?
At the front gate.
There was a number of different times where he provided just a little bit more, those little pieces. Once you get to one segment, then you can move to the next one. And once you get past a certain point, there's no return.
You were at the farm. Right? I can't hear a head shake. Yes or no?
Yes.
You were at the farm when Michael Shane Hill got shot. Right?
Right.
Dan Blair's story did start to turn a little bit as far as his involvement with the death of Shane Hill and where he was and what he was doing. He eventually does put himself out there at the farm, but he tries to minimize his involvement in it and says that his friend and roommate, Aaron Moss, is actually the person that pulled the trigger.
Dan, you went there knowing that Michael Shane Hill was going to die. Am I right? Am I right?
Yeah.
Dan Blair confessed to being there when Shane Hill died. But Dan wouldn't admit to having shot Shane in the back. At the end of the day, it didn't matter. He went there with the motive and the opportunity to commit that crime, and it happened. A murder was committed. What's going to happen when Aaron Moss is talked to? Do you suppose maybe we've separated the two of you? Maybe he's telling us a completely different story?
We brought Aaron Moss to the sheriff's office. We wanted Dan's side of the story, we wanted Aaron's side of the story, and they spoke to separate detectives at the very same time.
I need to know the honest truth. Who pulled that trigger?
Alright. Why would Daniel implicate you in taking Shane out?
I don't know. Is Aaron going to tell us that?
You gonna go down for it?
I didn't do anything. I ain't going down for nothing.
Or is Aaron going to tell us Dan did it?
What's your relationship with Shane?
Didn't know the guy.
How long have you known Dan?
Since 5th grade.
Consider him your best friend?
Not best friend, but good friend.
You live with him now?
Yeah.
How long have you lived with him?
About a month.
Dan Blair's interview was in a standard interview room at the sheriff's office that was capable of audio and video capability. We had to use another room at the sheriff's office at the same time that didn't have that capability, so we were not able to videotape Aaron's interview.
How long have you known Jessica?
A month.
Was there any talk from Jessica and Dan about getting rid of Shane?
Yep.
You mind telling me what you know?
I don't know anything.
What kind of gun is it?
30-06.
30-06. Okay, got a scope on it?
Yeah.
We borrowed a 30-06. We did some target shooting, and that was it.
When did you borrow that?
2-3 weeks ago.
Who'd you borrow that from?
Dan's parents.
Jessica knew about the gun.
Yeah.
Jessica knew about a gun, but she told Dan via text message when Shane left and what Shane was driving. She set this in motion. Take her out of this picture, and Shane Hill is still alive.
When did you guys start making the plans to use the gun?
That was all up to Aaron. Why would Daniel implicate you in taking Shane out?
I don't know.
You gonna go down for it?
I didn't do anything. I ain't going down for nothing.
What kind of car did you take out there that day?
Aaron's car.
What kind of vehicles you drive?
92 Cavalier.
Color?
Teal.
Two-door?
Yep.
The investigation has turned big time. We've got people talking about conspiracies, and your name keeps popping up. And you're sitting here telling me you don't know anything. Your so-called friend over there, just like that, boom, didn't take him anything to drop your name on this. And I can't believe that you're going to go down like that.
I have no more to say.
Why would Aaron Moss be invoking Miranda? Unless he's got something he doesn't want the investigators to know. Guess who lawyered up? Aaron don't want to play. Aaron wants his attorney.
It is absolutely imperative that we know where that gun is. Okay, and it has nothing to do with the investigation. It has to do with doing the right thing. Okay, making sure that that gun is safe and secure.
I don't want anybody else getting killed, Dan.
I personally do not know where the gun is.
Where do you suspect it is?
Where did he say it is?
Well, he spends a lot of time over at what he calls his sister's house, and it's just a good friend of his.
We were able to corroborate what Dan was saying with physical evidence. We did recover the weapon that night. We recovered the 30-06 rifle. It had Aaron Moss's DNA on the strap. We had a shell casing that was recovered. That shell casing was tied directly to that weapon. We have a video from a rural farm security camera that shows their vehicle, Aaron's vehicle, northbound, away from the crime scene shortly after the shooting. Cell phone records, and we did get later, put Aaron at the scene. We knew we had enough evidence to compile a probable cause case. So Dan and Aaron were arrested that evening, later that evening, about 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. They were arrested and charged with first-degree murder.
We were placing handcuffs on Dan, and I told him he was being charged with first-degree murder. He was surprised. He could not believe that he was being charged with first-degree murder because he wasn't the one, according to him, that fired the gun.
The following morning was Shane Hill's funeral. In consultation with the county attorney, we thought it would be prudent at that time to arrest Jessica. So at the conclusion of the funeral, Jessica was arrested by 2 DCI agents.
I think everybody was a little shocked when they come and took her right away from the funeral there.
At that time, I thought she wouldn't do something like that to those kids. It took a long time for us to believe that she did.
Dan Blair, Aaron Moss, and Blair's lover, Jessica Hill. The three are accused of conspiring together in the shooting death of Jessica's husband, Shane Hill, as he arrived for work on a sheep farm the morning of May 28th.
We obviously had the strongest case against Daniel Blair. The centerpiece of this case is that Dan Blair confessed to the murder of Shane Hill. He cannot get out from underneath that rock.
I think without the confession, it would have probably never gone to trial for first-degree murder.
Daniel Blair was convicted of the first-degree murder of Shane Hill. That sentence in the state of Iowa carries a maximum prison sentence of life without parole. The jury found Aaron Moss guilty of second-degree murder, not first-degree murder. So I think they had some question as to whether or not Aaron Moss was really the trigger man. But he got a 50-year sentence.
We all broke down and cried with joy. They weren't going to get away with murdering our son.
Jessica's biggest defense was, I was not there, I had nothing to do with this. She wanted Shane gone and had made that known to Dan Blair, but that she really didn't mean it.
She's the one that instigated the guys to do what they did. They'd have never done it. You know, we wanted her to get first-degree murder and to be in prison for the rest of her life.
Whenever verdicts are read, there's always this sort of heart in your throat moment because you never really know what a jury is going to do.
When the verdict came in of Jessica's, all I did was drop my head.
She was convicted of second-degree murder.
Jessica was sentenced to 50 years. She should have had first degree. None of this would have happened had she not put her part in there. She chose to destroy a lot of lives rather than to get a divorce.
After being convicted of second-degree murder, her conviction was reversed by our Iowa Court of Appeals because there were some hearsay statements that were admitted in the first trial. So the case was sent back to Boone County to be retried.
It was horrifying when they called us and let us know that it had been overturned. That meant we had to go through it again. We were angry, very bitter.
We were prepared to retry that case, but it would have been a fourth time that the family would have had to endure a trial, to go through it, to then have to, worry about an appeal with Jessica.
We just wanted it over. Shane's kids lived with us. I had 2 little kids at home begging me not to go to another trial. So we played bargain for her to sign the custody of the kids over to me, and she wouldn't have to serve any more than 12 years. And she agreed to it.
Jessica Hill is currently out of prison. She was put on parole in 2012.
The Hill homicide was an in-depth case. It was certainly one I couldn't have tackled on my own without DCI, Agent Kalman, Braffhart, and the other agents. I think the world of those guys.
I couldn't have asked for a better group of people to work with. with what we was going through, because they were all right there for us. They were so good.
Shane Hill went to his grave thinking he accidentally shot himself. I often wonder if, when Shane got to the pearly gates, did he find out what really happened to him? What a letdown that would have been.
You know, I miss every day hunting and fishing with Shane. You know, I still come up and see Shane's family. They're great people. We're still close friends. You know, the kids have grown up now and they're doing good.
I miss most about Shane. Anytime I was stressed, he would walk up to me, throw his arms around me, and tell me he loved me and it was going to be okay. And I missed that a lot.